From Studio 3 at Buzz TV, it's The Horse's Mouth with Tom McManus.
All right, welcome into The Horse's Mouth, up close and personal time here at the bar at Tommy Mac's, brought to our good friends at Foodies Care and right here at the Daily News Network. A friend of mine who've been trying to get on the show for a very long time finally matched up in schedules. He's a hockey player. He's a businessman. He's a great guy. And let's welcome in Jack O'Callahan to
Hello,
The Horse's
Tom.
Mouth. Hi, Jack. Great
Pleasure
to
to
see
be here,
you, brother.
Yeah, really excited.
How you doing?
Good to see you. Great. Doing
You're
great.
new to the area relatively. Yep.
6-7 years. Yeah, but I've been living here. I love it here.
Grew up in Charlestown and then
grew up in Boston. Yep.
played hockey. When did you start playing hockey? Like, you guys started young, don't
Yeah,
you?
I mean, back then, I'm not a young guy. I mean, it was sort of in the 60s. I was 8 or 9 before I really got on the ice. Played a lot of street hockey. We called it ball hockey. So, but then they started, Bobby Orr came to Boston, and everything changed. It was like when Michael Jordan came to Chicago.
Yeah, no doubt. He became everybody's
All of a sudden,
hero.
they started building rinks everywhere, and it was really easy to play and skate, and all my friends were playing, and then I just get into it.
That is so cool. So cool. When I got to Boston College, I'm from Chicago.
Yeah, I know.
I knew the Blackhawks, but didn't really follow more Bulls, Bears, Cubs. Get to BC, and then start meeting and hanging with these hockey guys. I'm like, I like these guys.
Yeah, they're pretty good
They're a different
guys.
breed,
Yeah.
but a good breed. You got to be
great.
really tough.
Yeah.
But most of them, I mean, we all have our hotheads, but most of you guys are pretty laid back, cool gentlemen until you get on the ice or until you have to.
It's part of the culture with hockey is that these kids are predominantly come from a blue collar background. So you have these guys that, like my parents, they worked 2 jobs. My dad worked side jobs. He was an electrician. He worked at the utility, but he did side jobs. I mean, everybody's working, and the kids are working, and so they don't. Nothing's really handed to them. I mean, that's how it was. It's still pretty much like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't just show up at the field, right? And play lacrosse or whatever. You got to get in the car. You got to go to a rink, and when you're playing hockey, youth hockey in Florida, you can be driving 2 hours for practice.
No doubt.
Right.
No
So then
doubt.
you got to get dressed. And all that equipment and rent the
stinks.
ice, everything. Yeah, you know what it's like. It's the same as a football locker room.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's so you get these kids that are somewhat come from that background, and they're just good guys that they work hard, and then the sport itself, as you know, it kind of keeps everybody in line because you get out of line a little bit and somebody's going to smack you back in line.
That's right.
Yeah.
I used to pal around with Lyndon Byers, God rest his soul. When
Yeah,
he was
good guy.
When he was
LB.
playing with the Bruins.
Yeah.
LB was awesome.
Yeah,
we
we lost him about a year ago. A little more sad to see. He was a big personality and a good guy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Jack, so take us back to 79 or 80.
Yeah.
Before, and look, we all know you're part of the miracle. It was unbelievable. 1980.
Unbelievable.
I mean, they just won it. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's fantastic.
Great,
But take us back to you get called to try out, I would imagine, or you're on the team.
Yeah, it wasn't really like that. I mean, you think about it. So you go
Tell
back.
me how that was.
Yeah, you go back to that time. So the 4 years I was in college, right? So it was basically the 76, 77, 78, 79 seasons, right?
Okay.
So I graduated BU in 79.
Yep.
Had I gone to Boston College, I probably would have graduated early because it was such an easier school.
Right, yeah, exactly.
No, but anyway, so we get out of college, and I mean, I had a pretty good run in college, right? Our teams were great, and I was a captain for my last 2 years, and I got all kinds of awards. Pretty much won everything, right? So individually and as a team as well.
Yep.
And it wasn't like I had to really try out as much as I was selected, as was pretty much the entire team was handpicked by Herb Brooks, our coach.
Right.
But he also handpicked 26 guys, and when we got to the Olympics, you had to freeze your roster at 20 guys, and it had to be done the Monday, the night before the first game at 5 or 6 o'clock. And then once those 20 guys were set, if you had 5 injuries during the next 2 weeks in the tournament, you played with 15.
With 15, wow.
Yeah, like the Olympics now, they bring 23 players, and they have 3 guys sitting out in case there are injuries.
So take me back. I used the wrong words, but being selected. So you got the top 26 college hockey players.
Well,
did the
for the most part, because it was 79. Guys didn't play professionally, Americans back then. It was all Canadians, and they looked down their nose at us as they thought we were soft. I mean, you know where I grew up. I mean, Joey Mullen played at Boston College.
I know.
Joey grew up in Hell's Kitchens. I mean, is anybody tougher than Joey Mullen? I don't think so. But anyhow, and he's in the NHL Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of like that. Joey didn't play on the team. He would have, but his mom had just his dad had just passed away.
Yep.
And so he signed a contract to get some money to get his mom out of Hell's Kitchen, right? So he put his family first, and everybody thought we were going to finish 5th. But most of the guys coming out of college or in college the years I was playing wanted to be on that team. So they brought 90 guys in to try out in 2 summers in a row. So the summer of '79, they had 80 guys or so out in Colorado Springs. We had a tournament, and that's how the team was selected from that tournament. Now, Mike Arizioni made the team in that tournament.
He did.
Yeah,
I've met him a few times.
Yeah, Mike's great. So, but Mike made the team from that tournament. Me, I was already kind of blessed in.
Yep.
Just because
But he was a BU teammate.
He was a BU guy, but he was out. He had been out of college for 2 years already.
He
was playing in a.
Wow.
He was playing like in AA baseball level of hockey. It was called the International League, and if you were playing in that league, you were not considered. You were still eligible for the Olympics. You were not considered a pro. If you played AAA baseball, which is one step up, you were considered a pro. Those guys could not play in the Olympics back then. It was only amateurs.
Right.
And again, we're playing in the Europeans. None of them were in the NHL at that time. It was pretty much all Canadians.
Okay.
And so the Europeans, even though they were kind of pros in their own country, they were considered amateurs. So we ended up showing up as all amateurs, all college kids.
Right.
And some guys that had graduated from college, like Mike, and there was a couple other guys. But that's us against basically the best of the best from Europe, right? Russians, Czechs, Swedes, Finns.
And a little bit older, right? Aren't they?
Older, bigger, stronger. We to this day, we're still the youngest American hockey team of all time.
Yeah.
Average age was like 22.
Going into that game.
Yeah, which game?
You guys
Russia
into
game?
the Russia game. Is it? Are you confident? Are you kind of like wait and see? What's that feeling like?
So we played them. We played about 60 games between, say, August of '79 till we went to the Olympics in early February.
Wow.
But our last game, and we had a great run.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different story. But we had a great run. We played, AAA baseball level teams in their league that points counted in their standings. So they were great games, and we smoked the league. We had a really good team.
Great.
But our last game was the Russians at Madison Square Garden, and there were protests with Russians in Afghanistan and hostages in Iran. It was a really tough time in the country.
Yeah, right.
And so there was all kinds of political stuff going on then. And then we play the Russians, and they beat our brains in, right? And I got hurt, my knee and everything else.
Right.
So anyway, then we go back, and 3 days later, so that was Saturday, that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're playing Sweden in the first game of the Olympics. And then Wednesday, the next night, was the opening ceremony. So we're playing the night before. And the Russians, look, we had just played a long time together. We knew who we were as a team, and we just got beaten up by the Russians for maybe 20 reasons, maybe why, but they were just better than us.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it there.
Yeah.
I'd say they were way better than anybody in the world at the time.
Right.
So anyhow, we go play Sweden in the Olympics, and now it's the Olympics. So, that game doesn't matter. It's an exhibition game. No one cared. But we get into Sweden, and then it's like every other day, like, boom, Sweden, Wednesday off, Thursday, Czechs, bang. Next day off. Off on.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we start winning, and playing 5 games over the course of 9 or 10 days.
Yep.
And we were rolling, and we were playing well, and we had tons of emotion, and the fans were with us, and we were in Lake Placid.
Yeah.
So we had all this momentum and all this energy, but we still had to play the Russians on a Friday afternoon in Lake Placid. And we all knew what it was going to be about. We couldn't watch them skate around, And it's like you as a high school kid playing against Terry Bradshaw on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
the first time you'd be just
Right.
wide-eyed, going, "Oh my God, that's Franco Harris!"
Yeah,
right? You'd
right.
be losing your
Exactly.
mind. So we were doing that when we played them in New York. We were like, "Oh my God, that's Boris Mikhailov and that's Fedosov." So anyhow, that was gone. Right.
Yeah.
So now we're playing them for real in Lake Placid, and we knew that we had to keep it close. And the one thing about that team, you get down a couple, and you're down 1 or 2. It happened to the Canadians. The Canadians played them really tough in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But the Russians got up on them, and then they got up on them big. So we had a 2-2 at the end of one. We had a 3-2. We were down a goal going into the third period. So we knew tied or down a goal going into the third. We were kind of had them where we wanted them theoretically. They could have blown our doors off, but we were a very fit young team.
Yeah.
And full of emotion and really well trained. We had a great coach and great system and great structure, and and a great goalie.
Yeah,
which you need to have in the Olympics.
No doubt.
We just saw that.
We just saw that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, it worked out, and it was great. You know, it's legendary stuff, right?
No
the
doubt.
game was on tape delay, and
I remember I was 10, but I remember like it was yesterday.
You know, and there's been movies, and
unbelievable.
Netflix just did another documentary.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
saw
third.
the doc. Yeah, it's great.
So yeah. Anyway,
Good
there's
stuff,
just been
man.
it's been a pretty good fun ride.
What'd you
since
do
then.
after? Did you go into the pros for a while, or what?
So
what
I played.
happened here?
That's how I ended up in Chicago. I
Okay.
ended drafted by the Blackhawks, right, in my sophomore year in college. So I basically signed a contract after that. I was injured, so I couldn't play, but I was getting paid, which is cool.
Nice, heck yeah.
It's always good.
Damn right.
And then the next fall, I went to training camp, and I spent the next 9 years playing professionally. So
Okay.
and I stopped, and
Good for you.
I ended up my last 2 years. I was in New Jersey,
Yeah.
88, 89, and I played for the Devils for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then
Yeah. Cool.
Then I walked off, and I walked into the S&P futures trading pit in Chicago at the Mercantile Exchange.
Nice,
and
nice.
I stood in there, traded my own account, elbow to elbow with people, and fought for my space. And believe me, playing hockey was a little easier.
That's great.
At least
With
I
the-
knew I was
with the-
getting a
with the
check
papers.
well, at least I knew I was getting a check every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Down there, you make a dime.
The Merc, that was with the papers, right? They'd be filling out the papers.
Well,
in front,
back
or was
then,
that-
yeah,
what
back
was that?
then, there was not
I remember
electronic, right? So
Right.
they had everything was on trading cards. It was still on trading cards, but
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
at that time, even when I walked in there, but yeah, you write down what you did. It's like your badge number, your clearinghouse. There
Yeah.
were like 7 things that had to be on there. So it was like quantity, commodity, price, and it
Yeah.
all had to match up the next day before the market opened. And there were 50, 70,000 contracts trading every day. So
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable,
Make your
man.
head spin.
Yeah, and then people would write on cards. The broker would write on cards in the pit, and he'd hand it to his clerk, and his clerk would clean it up, and then he would fling it like a frisbee to the person on the phone who's got 2 phones in his ears.
Right.
And he reach up and grab the card. He goes, he'd tell the client, okay, yeah, you just bought 20 S&Ps at like da da
Oh
da.
my gosh, wow.
Yeah, and there were
Unbelievable.
cards flying around,
Yeah, right.
but it was the most efficient
awesome.
communication system I've
Yeah,
ever seen in my life.
yeah, no doubt.
So anyway, I've been in that business basically my entire career.
Okay.
A commodity trader in the pit for 3 years. I owned a membership that I had bought when I was playing, and then we started a broker dealer, and we started an institutional commodities business.
Okay.
And I ran that for 25 years, and then towards the end started raising money for managers, who
Okay.
didn't have a marketing staff, and they hired me and my company to go out and help them. And I raised a bunch of money with some pretty big funds, like a California funds with, and then a Texas Teachers and
Okay. Like
and,
pension fund
pension,
types?
yeah, giant
Well,
pension
that's how you
funds.
and Pete Mitchell.
That's how me and Pete Mitchell
come
know each
across,
other.
okay,
Yeah,
'cause
so
he's in that world.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I did that out of my company,
Cool.
and then eventually we were working for a client that asked me to join them. And I was
Okay.
25 years, I was ready to do something else. So I've been with this group that I'm with now for about.
FM?
Well, it was originally, a different name, and
Okay.
then we got, Stiefel owned us. This business,
Yeah.
there's always that going on. So we're owned by a permanent capital group out of Boston called 1251 Capital. But we run about $20 billion in
Okay, cool.
pretty traditional assets.
Yeah.
And I just help raise the money in the pension world and the registered investment advisory world, whatever
Yeah.
our channels are.
Yeah.
I get to kind of do it all, so I'm kind of fortunate that
Well,
way.
whether you get the deal or not, they want to talk to you.
Well,
There's
when
no
you get,
doubt
well,
about it.
yeah, it's like, my
That's a
mom,
good
my
thing.
mom always told me, like, when she made sure I did my homework every day. I mean, didn't go out on a school night till I was in college.
Right.
But she's like, listen, Jackie, you know what? Guy like you is always going to be able to get in the door, but you better know what you're talking about once you get in the door.
That's for
and
sure.
So it was a good message from
No
my
doubt,
mom. when I was
especially in
a-
Boston. They'll kick you
Yeah,
right
everywhere.
out.
Yeah, they'll throw you out anywhere.
Yeah,
You walk
yeah,
in there and you
that's
don't know what
true.
you're talking about. So
That's right.
obviously I can talk, and
Yeah.
I pretty much understand all aspects of the
All right,
financial
let's wrap it
business.
up with the men's and women's
Yeah.
hockey team winning gold, man.
Yeah.
That was, I got to be honest, like, I didn't go into the Olympics like, oh, the hockey.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of grew on me as they got, and part of it was you guys were amateurs,
Correct.
and I know they're both now, they're all playing in the
Right.
NHL, right? So
Right.
it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Yeah.
I just was like, it's kind of like an all-star game.
Yeah.
But then little by little, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of cool. And then the Canadians and then all that and went on the, what was it, the Power Four last year with the fight.
Oh, yeah, the
Right?
Four Nations Cup.
Yeah. The Four Nations. So, then you got into, and then
Yeah.
both sides won. A lot of Boston College on the women's and the men's.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was
BU
fantastic.
got BU, BC from
Yeah.
all over, and from
Yeah.
all different. Our team in '80, back then, I mean, hockey was very regional.
Right.
It was pretty much New England and Minnesota.
Right.
Sprinkle in a couple other states like Wisconsin and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Austin Matthews was born in Arizona. The
Right.
Kachuk boys grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
there's
Yeah.
Kids from all over the country that have gone to all the different schools, and yeah, it was really fun. The women's victory was great, but the women, basically, they were the Russians, right? They were the best team in the tournament by a mile.
Yep.
And Canada gave them a pretty good run.
Yep.
Flip side to the men's game, Canada was the best team in the
best,
world.
yeah.
But the U.S. was right there with them, and as good. They lost the Four Nations. There's a lot of bad blood there. You put that USA or that maple leaf on your chest.
Yep.
It's way different than the NHL.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
these
I'm
guys.
sure.
We were communicating with them. I mean, the team FaceTimed me the other day. Trump had sent them a plane to go up to the State of the Union.
Right.
Matthew Tkachuk and Jack Hughes FaceTimed me because the guys on the plane wanted to talk and yell and scream.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's this.
So
Jack Hughes had a great comment. He said, he goes, being part of the USA Hockey Brotherhood is the most meaningful group I'm part of in my life. He said, we were hearing from all these veteran players, these older guys that were supporting us, that were with us, and there really is a connectivity between even my generation and the guys that were older than me, and it goes all the way through here. And we're always supporting each other, and it's pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Great for America.
Yeah, it was great.
Jack, great to have you at the bar, man.
Good to be here, Tommy.
Finally, man.
Yeah,
We'll have to do it off air, too, and hang out.
Pretty easy to hang out and shoot the breeze, man. We can stay here for 3 hours.
Absolutely. Thanks again, my friend. All right, that'll do it for us this time around. Right here on the Horse's Mouth, brought to our good friends at Foodies Care, and right here on the Daily News Network. Make sure to check out this interview at dailynewsnetwork.com, and we'll have it all over social media as well. Till next time, stay safe out there and be cool. We'll see you right here on the Horse's Mouth. Cheers.